convenient case of amnesia about their previously cherished principles. Well, tonight we review claims made by regular American citizens with firsthand knowledge about what happened in this election. These are individuals who swore and signed affidavits alleging what they believe is fraudulent or suspicious behavior involving vote counting and ballot processing in key states. Now, there are reportedly hundreds of such sworn affidavits from poll workers and observers, including some Democrats. Many have been thrown out and many debunked, but many still have not. These Americans, these whistleblowers, deserve to be taken seriously and at least heard without threat of reprisal. But that's not happening. In fact, this show has had to conceal the identity and voice of a poll worker in Clark County, Nevada, who in a sworn affidavit claimed to witness potential voter fraud.
The Biden van was parked along this stretch. I could see these people hand over what appeared to be white envelopes. Two people ripping them open and turning and facing the van and drawing on them or marking them. As I got closer, I thought, those are ballots. It kind of was an odd, like, what are they doing?
Now, in Michigan, more than 100 GOP poll observers alleged not only intimidation, but obstruction. That's odd, while votes were being counted in Detroit. Why would that happen? Jasmine Early said in a deposition that election workers consistently attempted to impede and obstruct her ability to observe and challenge ballots to see them. In his deposition, Glenn Sitek, another observer, recounted that he contacted Detroit police to file an assault complaint after an election worker shoved him away from a table. Wow. There's also sworn testimony of irregularities during the Georgia recount. A poll manager with 20 years of ballot handling experience in the Atlanta area provided this troubling account. Inside the box were stacks of ballots. One batch stood out. It was pristine. There was a difference in the texture of the paper. There were no markings on the ballots to show where they'd come from or where they had been processed. By my estimate in observing these ballots, approximately 98% constituted votes for Joseph Biden. I only observed 2 of these ballots as votes for President Donald J. Trump. Now, likewise, a Fulton County poll observer made this stunning claim. Many of the boxes of ballots had voted 100% for Biden and 0% for Trump. Ballots appeared to be perfectly filled out as if almost they were pre-printed with the presidential candidate selected. In Cobb County, a poll observer who says she's a registered Democrat also noticed something odd about many of the ballots. Hundreds of these ballots seemed impeccable. The bubble selections were perfectly made. Only observed sections in black ink, and all happened to be selections for Biden. No corresponding envelopes seen in sight. I believe there was fraud committed in the presidential election and question the validity of the Georgia recount process. Again, that's from a Democrat. But the media, they don't care. They're barely even interested in the publicly known mistakes and problems in Georgia's initial vote count. And so far this week, county officials admitted to uncovering not 1, not 2, but 3 computer memory cards containing thousands of uncounted votes, mostly for Trump. And DeKalb County alone, election officials allegedly forgot to upload 2,700 votes. Now, fixing those mistakes netted Trump 1,400 votes. While that's not obviously enough to change the outcome in Georgia, it's still no small matter for those people who voted. Presidential elections have been decided by smaller margins. Remember, Bush beat Gore in Florida by just over 500 votes. Heck, Stacey Abrams lost Georgia by a margin 4 times greater than Biden's current lead over Trump, and was still pretending as if she was robbed just last night.
It is time now for Donald Trump to acknowledge that the legal sufficiency of the system says that he is no longer the president. And unlike what happened to me, where we had enough evidence to go to federal court and to see changes made, he has to admit that there is no evidence of widespread fraud. He can continue to fight, but he's going to lose.
First of all, I love how she says he's no longer the president. Well, yes, he is. Accepting tall tales like that from Democrats while dismissing GOP voter fraud claims, it's not just wrong. It's an affront to our entire electoral system. Yet the American Press Corps and their Democrat allies, who spent years and this went on forever, insisting that Trump was colluding with the Russians to throw the election in his favor in 2016 with zero credible evidence, is aggressively uninterested in protecting the integrity of the 2020 vote.
I mean, you're doing the opposite of debunking them when you talk about it. You are bunking them.
I see no evidence of voter fraud.
If the president is going to claim that there is widespread voter fraud, you would think that we would have significant evidence.
I don't think that there's any point in the media lending these cases any credibility or examining the merits of the claims because they simply don't exist.
Okay, has the press bothered interviewing these whistleblowers? Of course not. They seem more content lobbing embarrassing softball questions at Joe Biden, which he still swings at and misses.
What do you say to Americans, especially immigrant Americans who came to the United States looking for political stability and seeing all the things that the president is doing?
What the president's doing now is really it's going to be another incident where he will go down in history. It's going to be certified. We're going to end up making clear that they're making clear that we won.
That was terrifying. Now, what's hard to fathom is how Democrats who swallowed the Russia meddling claims hook, line, and sinker refuse to recognize American citizens calling out what they think is extremely suspicious and, in some cases, alleged voter fraud. Now, look, there have been a lot of, frankly, very outlandish claims made, including one of a global effort to hack voting machines. I mean, so far, not backed up by evidence, at least that I've seen. And whether the ultimate outcome in a particular state would change if all this is borne out, some of that hasn't been laid out. But those are largely beside the point that we're making tonight. If election laws are not applied and not followed consistently, if they're changed mid-course without proper legislative authority, it's reasonable to start questioning motivations and taking a serious, deeper look. And if any vote is either improperly counted or discarded, it does matter. One illegal vote cast nullifies a legal vote for the other candidate, cancels it out. And it undermines the trust in the system, and that itself is corrosive. And that's the angle.